Hello， 大家，这又是我视频里全新的一个系列。之前发过一些视频，大家应该也都知道了。我现在在 INSEAD 就读 MBA， 我在这边最大的感受就是同学们真的太棒了，每个人不仅优秀，还是有趣的灵魂，每天都跟他们学到很多东西，所以我也很想用视频去记录一下他们的经历。这就有了全新的系列，我靠它为 My Deskmate 我的同桌，主要就是采访一些我在 INSEAD 遇到的有趣的人们，也给之后想要申请我们学校的学生呢提供一个参考吧。当时我想申请学校的时候，也想去了解一下 INSEAD 的学生都是什么样的 profile， 但是网上只能找到非常无聊的，我是哪所学校毕业的，我的 GPA 是多少。但是 to be honest， 我觉得作为一个立体的生动的人，你有比你的学历和 GPA 以外更多的事情可以去分享。我觉得这个也是 INSEAD 所侧重的，你首先是一个有趣的人，之后你才是一个学习好的孩子。这个系列大部分会用英文进行，英语不是我的母语。其实在这边我也想说一下，我讲的有语法问题，或者是我有 accent， 这都太正常了。语言只是去表达自己沟通的一个工具，它并不是一个可以去炫耀或者是什么成就。只要对方明白了我想表达的意思，那我觉得语言的目的就达到了。大家没有必要在这儿斤斤计较说，哎呀，他说英语怎么样啊什么的，我可以理解，但是我觉得这个毫無意義。那好，废话不多说，开始这一个系列的第一集。我邀请了我的德国同学 Alexej。Let's welcome my first guest of my brand new series, Alexej. Hi, Alexej.
Hi, Lindsay.
Yeah, very glad to have you here today. So for this brand new series, I'm basically just interviewing my deskmates. I always want to start from the question, if there's one thing about you very special, what's that gonna be?
I think one thing that is special about me is maybe my professional sports career.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
was
thought.
a very long time an athlete. I did weightlifting. I did actually from the age 10 till 26.
Alexej Prochorow, a professional weightlifter, was born in Russia and moved to Germany at the age of 5 due to his father's career as a professional weightlifter in Germany. He achieved a significant milestone in his athletic career by representing Germany in weightlifting at the 2016 Olympics. After the Olympics, he made a career transition. He joined consulting from BCG after graduating and later attended INSEAD for an MBA. Today, let's hear where his life story starts from.
When I was 10, my father was actually also an athlete before, so he did weightlifting. And when I was 10, he started to train my friends first. So it was not training me, it was training my friends. And of course, what I did is, oh yeah, I want to be with my friends, so I go on training with I go to do training with them. So I trained with him for the first 6 years. So until I was 16, I did training with my father. But of course, I started with 3 trainings per week or so, and also without weights. So you cannot lift anything as 10 years old. You're just too weak. Too small.
Before you're 16, you basically went to elementary school and middle school just like regular, and then for your extracurricular time, you trained.
Yes. After the age of 16, I went to a sports boarding school. Then I received a new trainer, and I was there for 3 years. You can imagine there were different sports, and people were living together. They were also training at the facilities there, but we went to normal schools outside of the facility.
That is for kind of like your high school?
Yeah, for the high school I went. Yeah, exactly.
Then how does the boarding school system, it's like very common in Germany, the sports boarding school?
It also depends on the sports, because there are some sports boarding schools for football. They are very special. They do only football, and they're completely in a different system. But if you do, for example, something like weightlifting, there are only 2 in Germany, so you can go to one of those 2. Basically, you do only the training there, but you go to normal schools, because the sports boarding schools itself, they're too small to employ their own teachers, to employ everything on their own. So you just walk to normal schools in the city. But you do your training and you live in the sports boarding school, and also the cooperation between the school is very good.
Then after 3 years of boarding school, you graduate. You didn't go college at the time, right? So what was the next?
I went to the army. This is the primarily way how in Germany athletes are sponsored. So they are mostly employed by the army, but you do not really do army stuff, you do sports.
Okay.
It's a very nice position. So you just do training every day.
And then you get paid in the army.
Exactly.
How long have you been there?
So until I was 26 years old.
So 7 years.
Yes. exactly.
Wow.
7 years. It was only focusing on weightlifting because after the sports boarding school it becomes kind of really serious because then you're part of the national team, and then you're employed by the army in order to participate in international competitions.
Oh, so you're saying everyone in the army are actually part of national athlete team? Okay.
Exactly. Every athlete at the army is part of the national.
And then came to your most exciting part of your life. You you joined the Olympics. You participated in the Olympics in 2016, I think.
Yes, in 2016.
How was that?
It was nice. Yes.
But I mean, I searched you literally on Google, and then some of your picture pop up. You were much stronger.
So let's call it stronger, okay? Yes, I looked a bit different. So the most interesting part about me is that I lost 40 kilos in, let's say, 6 months.
After the Olympics?
Yes.
Did you do it on purpose?
Yeah, let's say on purpose. I stopped training and I stopped eating as much as I was eating before. So this is why I lost pretty fast 40 kilos.
Did you have to meet those like the body weight, right?
Exactly. I was in the highest body weight category, starting from 105 kilograms onwards, and I had a body weight of 140 kilograms. And it's not easy to have this body weight because you're eating all the time.
Yeah. It's all muscles, right? It's not fat.
Yeah, it's a mix.
Okay. Speaking of eating food, you say you were forced to eat a lot of food. It sounds so sad. You must be very frustrated about food by the time. Like you have to eat a lot, even something you don't like.
Yeah. So as an athlete, it was pretty tough. So people think usually the lighter body weight categories are the hard ones because they cannot eat, which is also very tough. They have to watch for their body weight to be below a little bit. But for the higher body weight categories, you need to eat a lot. You just eat all the time. You are never hungry because you eat.
So basically, every single day you are eating and then training.
Exactly, and sleep in between as well.
Yeah.
So eating, sleeping, training. This was all.
Talk more about your Olympic experience. What's interesting, like what's very memorable moments?
I think the most memorable moment is when you go into the food hall. There's the Olympic Village, and there's one large food place. And in this large food place, you just meet all the athletes. So all the athletes are there, they're kind of eating, and you just go in there, you kind of also connect with some athletes, of course, mainly with your nation, because you even don't know them, because you usually only do weightlifting, so you do not know other sports. But yeah, this is kind of the most interesting part for me.
Well, it's like an acid networking session.
Exactly. This is what we learned.
How many days were you in the village, the Olympics village?
I was there, I think, for 2 weeks in total.
Oh.
1 week before my competition, and then 1 week until the end.
So you were there, basically attended the opening ceremony?
No,
you didn't walk.
Yeah.
Why?
So, it's. If you're participating in the Olympics, you're focusing on your competition. So being there 2 weeks earlier just to attend the opening ceremony, which is also, you need to stand around for 5 hours, which is also, difficult.
But it's like...
Yes, I know.
I'm very...
I know. Next time I will do it, but there's no next time.
For me, if I go to Olympics, maybe that's the point of not the competition. So you just fly in do some prep and then do the competition and then left.
Exactly. But I mean, not after. I had still 1 week after the competition. So this was a nice week.
Okay. Then how do you think that 2 weeks or your Olympic experiences like changed your life or changed you anything?
I think it's not only the Olympic experience that changed my life, but the whole sports career that I have. The thing that people like the most are the rewards in the end, because you train half a year for one competition, and if it is good, which is not always good, but if it's good, you feel so good for the next weeks because everything went well. This 6 months paid off.
I'm also very curious about your how you build your mental health, because when you say you have to prepare for 6 months and then you want a good result, but if it's not always a good result.
I think it's always the target in mind. I mean, pretty sure I was very early in my career already focused on getting somehow to the Olympics. So I know to get there, that's still far away, but I need to keep on training, keep on eating, keep on sleeping. And yes, and what you mentioned, of course, some competitions do not work out well.
Yeah.
And then you think you have wasted half a year, but it's not really like this, because you've still trained the half a year, and in half a year again there's the next competition. Maybe it will be better.
I feel most people, when they exit the industry, they still choose stay in sports industry, but you chose a totally different career path. What made you make that decision?
So for me, you're totally right. Most of the athletes after their career, they become either coaches or they become some officials in the sport, so promoting the sport as well.
Right.
But I was always more interested to pursue an academic career as well. I mean, not going into academics, but to study and then to work in business or something like that. This is why after the Olympic Games, I started studying business administration. Yeah. Did it for 3 years, and then I started working.
So you took college test, and then you enter a university.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you studied business in college.
Yes, exactly.
And what made you choose consulting as your professional career?
Oh, that's interesting. To be honest, before I started studying, I didn't know that consulting exists.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the sports world.
Right.
There is no consulting. I kind of just started doing the business studies, and I saw already some company events, and I got to know what industries in business exist, like consulting or investment banking, and I found consulting pretty interesting, so I did 3 internships in the end during my undergraduate. I decided that this is a nice job. So after my undergraduate, I started to working at BCG.
Yeah. So you worked at BCG for like 3-4 years?
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5 years. What made you to do the MBA? What was your goal for MBA though? You can just say your real answer. It's like, I need a break, so I knew that.
This is basically often the reason that you do kind of a break of the consulting work. Yeah. For me, it's also some sort of a break, but also to experience a bit more than just this consulting bubble that I live. Because if I do consulting, I am only surrounded by consultants, and I know there's only this one path. But here I see so many different people, so that I kind of get to know other options.
Listening to your stories, I feel so inspiring, because when you grow up, it's like all around by athlete, and then you want a bigger world than you surrounded by all business or consultants, and you want an even bigger world than you can for INSEAD, and then people from we have people from different backgrounds, and you can always learn from each other.
Yes,
it's like always growing and always learning. Thank you today for your time. I am really inspired a lot. I hope our audience too.
Thank you for doing this series. I'm looking forward to watch all the other videos as well.
Yeah, we'll do. Thank you guys. See you guys in next video. Bye.